Well, we now shift our focus to something far more enduring. Culture and communities, the very soul of our destinations and our travel, how they shape meaningful and travel experiences. Take a look.
Gone are the days when sightseeing used to be simply about ticking monuments off a wish list. It is now way beyond that. The travel and tourism sector is undergoing a massive transformation in India and worldwide. Travelers today are looking for real immersive experiences. Local food, festivals, and everyday traditions have become the main attractions. Communities are now at the heart of tourism development. Locals are no longer just hosts, they are storytellers, guides, and creators of an unforgettable travel experience. Let's explore how culture and communities are redefining the way we travel by shifting focus from sightseeing to locally led community experiences.
I'm so looking forward to carry this discussion forward on something that truly shapes our travel experiences, our culture, communities. Please welcome, joining me on stage, our esteemed panelists, starting with His Excellency Kamel Zayed Galal, Ambassador of Egypt to India. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. We also have with us Her Excellency Aliki Koutsomitopoulou, Ambassador of Greece to India. Welcome. And joining us is also Her Excellency Mahishini Colonne, High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to India. Welcome, ma'am. And we have Ms. Jyoti Mayal, the chairperson and of the Hospitality Skill Council and CEO Red Hat Communications. Welcome to the panel, and thank you so much for your time today. Well, I have to say I'm truly honored, and what a privilege it is to share this platform with you. And I hope you're having fun, and there's so much to take away from the summit today. Let me start with this thought. You know, India saw an outbound travel of about 32.7 million in the year 2025. But at the same time, as a country, it remains a very powerful civilizational destination. And each one of the countries here, you have such deep ties with India, right from the Buddhist circuit in Sri Lanka to, of course, the Indo-Greek exchanges and to Egypt's very rich legacy. So would love to know, how are you translating this deep connect and shared history into a modern travel narrative that is shaping the global travel and tourism landscape? Would love to start with you, sir. Would love to know your thoughts on the same.
First of all, let me thank you for inviting me, and thank you, Jyoti, for having me. And I feel very humbled to be on a panel with two seasoned diplomats. So I will try to cope with them and as much as possible, especially that they represent great cultures. Mentioning tourism and culture, for us in Egypt, it's not about money, or it's not about economy, but it's not about income. It's more about people. Egypt, as an ancient civilization, has always been focusing on the human-centric. We see that tourism is a message of tolerance, a message of acceptance, especially when we speak with a market like in India. You are a very old civilization. I don't know if anybody in this room knows the first traces of Egyptian-Indus relationship. It traces back around 4,753 years ago. So it's very entrenched into history. That is why when we speak to the Indian market or the Indian people, I wouldn't like to call it market. We focus on, the message is live Egypt. Don't come to visit Egypt. Egypt is not about ancient Egypt. No, you need to live Egypt. Live the friendship, the message of Egypt. You will feel the hospitality, the friendship of the Egyptian people towards the Indian. So it's more than just Indian tourists coming to visit Egypt or mere numbers. This is one aspect of the issue. The other aspect is the civilizational aspect. A lot of the people here in India, when they look to Egypt, they speak about ancient Egyptian civilization. Well, this is partially true, and I underline the word partially true, because as much as Egypt is an ancient civilization, currently Egypt is building a new civilization. This is something that maybe a lot of people here in India do not know. So we are building a whole new ecosystem of infrastructure during the past years, especially in the hospitality field. And even Taj Mahal is opening a branch in Egypt, and other Indian brands also existent, and there are more coming to the Egyptian market. So this is in a nutshell what we are focusing on during the past years and during the near future.
Thank you so much for those very insightful thoughts, sir. We'll come back to you and would love to know more about the travel trends that shape Egypt today. Coming to you, ma'am, thank you so much once again for joining us. Ambassador Aliki, would love to know how is Greece shaping its travel trends today in the world that is continuously evolving and changing. And I believe it is also moving beyond Santorini. And it's a very holistic way to travel and experience the country. What do you have to say about that? And how do you sort of connect it to India's deep cultural ties as well?
Hello. Oh, yes. Okay. First of all, let me thank you also for inviting me and having me here today, and also share what the Egyptian ambassador said. I'm very happy to be on the same panel with these esteemed colleagues and representatives of big civilizations and touristic destinations, of course. Now, our strategy right now, because I think that we all know Greece is quite attractive to tourism, and it is a touristic country. Last year we had 38 million visitors, which was a record of all times. But we also are always trying to find new aspects on tourism, and today we are talking about the Indian tourists that would like to visit my country. The main axe right now is 365 days of tourism per year, because as you said, the majority of people know in the first level, Santorini, the islands, and so on and so forth. We are trying to project other aspects of Greece, Greece in winter, golfing Greece, mountain Greece, all that, and also experiential tourism, because I think that younger people are quite interested in that. Right. Unique experiences that are tailor-made and are attractive to younger audience.
Absolutely, very well said. In fact, that's exactly it. Tourism today, it's all about those experiences and how does one curate those experiences as a budding traveler. I'm sure a lot of us in the audience would also feel the same. And thank you for your insights. Coming to Ambassador Mahishini, thank you so much for joining us today. Would love to know, in terms of the very strong Buddhist circuit that India also shares with Sri Lanka, and we go way back. It's a very rich civilizational heritage that we share. What do you have to say about this association in the coming 5 to 10 years when it comes to Indian travelers visiting Sri Lanka or the world visiting Sri Lanka, keeping this narrative in mind? What do you have to say about that?
Thank you for having me on this panel. With Egypt, Greece, Sri Lanka, I think we all belong to the same civilizational era, actually. Right. Yeah. So we share a lot in common from that era onwards. And as you said, Sri Lanka and India share not a border but a civilization. We are an extension of the same geographic space. And if you talk about Anuradhapura and the connect with Bodh Gaya or Sanchi, or between Rameshwaram and Mana, right. It just separates us by 30 kilometers of sea, but it's also millennia of travel, pilgrimage, stories. Yeah. So we are a chapter of the Ramayana, and the Ramayana trail runs right through our island, from the north to the south, to the hill country in Nurelia, where the Sita temple is, to Rumasala in the south. So what we are doing today, I think more and more young people look for different experiences. And apart from the civilizational connect and the geographic connect, we are smaller than a state in India, smaller than most states in India, but we pack 8 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in our small island, right? And so I think that is what makes Sri Lanka unique, because it's a small country, but within about 48 hours, you can travel from an ancient capital city, which is thousands of years old, to a beach, and to a wildlife sanctuary where there is leopard. We have the largest leopard density in the world, in fact. And just off the coast of Trincomalee, we have the largest gathering of blue whales annually. So it's a lot of experiences that we have in our country, and that is what we're trying to project. And I think the experiences around it, the storytelling and the narratives, right. And so on. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear. In fact, I recently went to Sri Lanka, and I completely relate to whatever you highlighted. There's so much under one roof, and there's so much to experience. So thank you so much for your insights, ma'am. Next, would love to ask Ms. Jyoti Mayal here. Ma'am, in terms of what, according to you, the next couple of years would look like India collaborating with the world when it comes to spiritual and cultural tourism, and projecting itself as a spiritual ecosystem rather than a standalone destination itself? How can we go and collaborate with the countries surrounding us and more?
Thank you, Nikita, and it's a pleasure to be on the panel sharing with the 3 ambassadors who are dear friends and hearing about them speak. And I think I love all the 3 countries and I'm passionate about all of these 3 destinations. But coming to the multi-country spiritual, I think we should take the spiritual story now and move forward to being a multicultural community in a way that we actually becomes a seamless travel between all of us. Because we all, like Mahishini just said, that we all are linked together and we all belong to the civilization. I think it's time for us to move together, right, so that we can, it's a seamless journey. It could be the ancient history, it could be civilization, or it could be Indian civilization. We need to move that way. So we should be doing marketing together, and that's what I have been discussing with them over the years also, that I've known them, over the time I've known them, that it's time for us to get together and market it together, to become a seamless, which actually impacts the way we all sell, because I also speak on the behalf of the travel industry. We need to sell seamlessly. So we could be doing joint marketing, joint websites, social media together. We should be, right, promoting it in such a way that it becomes a seamless journey. It's not about Egypt selling on by itself, or Greece selling by itself, or Sri Lanka selling by itself. It's time for us to move together, because today collaboration is the main thing. And we talk about communities. We are extension of communities. So that's the way we need to portray ourselves, to say we are one. World is one. That's what WION is all about. And I think that's how we need to take tourism as one aspect. There are no borders where tourism are concerned. And spiritual being the link, it can move from spirituality to wellness. And we all three have so much to share about that.
There's so much to share, so much to offer, so much to experience. Thank you for your insights, Ms. Jyoti. Sir, coming back to you, you know, tourism today, again, it's not just about destinations. It's about people. It's about stories. It's about coming together of different cultures. And as ma'am rightly said, it's not just one standalone country projecting its culture. You know, together, being such a spiritually and culturally rich world altogether, there's so much that we can offer to the audiences, offer to the robust travelers. Now coming to the diaspora influence, do you think that again is a very key element in shaping travel between your country and India and of course the world? How do you look at diaspora here, both experientially, economically? What do you have to say about that?
Well, we don't have a big diaspora Indian community in Egypt to tell you that affects, but what affects our tourism together is much more deeper than just diaspora and community, whether Egyptian community here or an Indian community in Egypt. But what links us is much deeper. We have a shared history. You are a very old civilization. And there is a natural link, whether we are speaking about spirituality, whether we are speaking about wedding, whether we are speaking about cultural tourism. So that what links us is much more than just the diaspora. And I prefer it that way because it is even deeper. It's enshrined in your identity and it's enshrined in our identity. If you go to the Karnak, you will see a lot of Al-Karnak temple. You will see a lot of similarities with Varanasi. If you go to a Nile cruise taking from throughout Egypt, you will see a lot of similarities with the Ganges and the Yamuna, and the film industry, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of films that were shot in Egypt. And recently even Yo-Yo Singh, he's a very famous Indian.
For all of us.
Last month he made a song in Egypt, and where he shot it in Egypt. What links us is much more. What is important now, it's not just the diaspora, it's the tool. How can we reach to the young generation? And I think social media is very crucial in this respect.
Very well said, sir, and I couldn't agree more. Ma'am, coming to you, sir pointed about the younger generation. Again, Gen Z today forms a major chunk of travelers when we speak of inbound tourism or outbound. Would love to know any initiatives that Greece has in place or is planning to execute to attract this community. What do you have to say for that? Would love to know your plans.
Yes, we have spoken earlier about experiential tourism. I think that is the key for the new generation, the millennials, the Gen Z. They want experiences, they want new experiences, more spiritual ones and more meaningful. So we are trying to present new challenges, new ideas to the Indian public so as to attract younger people. Extreme sports, for example, gastronomy, the other thing that I said, 365 days per year, winter holidays. These are all new ideas, fresh ideas that we are trying to project. Because I would like to, take the baton from my colleague here and say that, of course, the idea of Greece is quite welcome here. I'm very happy about that. I'm very lucky because there are the memories of ancient civilizations, ancient connections, millennial connections. But the point is to showcase modern Greece also, and modern Greece for younger people. It's not that we don't respect the traditional destinations also, our culture, cultural heritage, and of course in Greece there is always that reflective philosophical aspect that many people appreciate, but also fresh experiences for the younger generations.
Absolutely, ma'am. And thank you so much for those insights. Clearly, the younger generation is looking forward to travel as we speak. You know, they pick up jobs, they've changed their lifestyles to make sure that they get to travel once in a while, and that's great. They also come out as holistic human beings, as holistic individuals that have a lot to share within their workspace, families, and friends. Ma'am, now coming to you, would love to know again with respect to Sri Lanka, what are the other initiatives that you have in mind to attract the younger audience, for them to explore not only the ancient spiritual cultural bit, but also the modern contemporary side of Sri Lanka? Would love to know.
So I think, as my colleagues said as well, when it comes to the younger generation, they look for experiences, but not just experiences, but authentic experiences, right? And not always the packaged tourist destinations or trails, but adventure, so that they can be in touch with the real Sri Lanka or the real Egypt or the real Greece. So I think Sri Lanka actually offers the space for that, because we are working a lot on community-based tourism. So a lot of young people are also concerned about conscience buying from places where they think will benefit the community directly. So we are focusing on community-based tourism to a large extent, and where people can go and live with families, or eat at a family-run restaurant, or buy from a craftsperson directly. That is something more sustainable and closer to the environment. So we have a lot of programs that focus on that kind of experience as well, where they can go and experience street food and things like that, which directly relate not just to a curated package, but things like that. Yeah. So.
That's wonderfully put, ma'am. In fact, it's like you just said, it shouldn't just look very packagey and like a perfect, I think imperfections is what travelers love. And nobody wants their trip to be perfect. We plan it that way, but I think the hidden experiences, the experiences about imperfections is what we remember the most, we cherish the most. Yeah.
To be there to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ms. Jyoti, Mayal, coming to you now. Would love to know, again, how do you think India as a destination, taking this conversation forward, when we speak of communities and culture coming together, how do you think as a country in the tourism landscape, how are we doing so far? Especially post the pandemic. Again, inbound tourism has increased, but it's not reached the levels we would want it to. So your thoughts on that? How could we leverage the community angle bit here in our country?
Yeah. Yes, I would say that we haven't done very well where inbound is concerned, but our outbound is increasing by leaps and bounds, and that's where they all are benefiting from us. But we need to benefit from them too. So going forward, let me come first to the new generation, which we've been talking about, the Gen Z and the millennials. I think they are looking for, they are not looking for a trip, they are looking for transformation. That's the new word which the Gen Z is really using, because when they want to travel, they don't want to travel. So that's what we also need to inculcate, that we need them to be transformed when they come to our country. So they need to enjoy the communities, they need to enjoy the local families, maybe cook with them, maybe deal with them like Mahishini just said about with crafts and how they live with the localites. That's where community living comes in, and that's what they want to enjoy more. So the business is going to be shifting from the tier 1 and tier 1 cities, especially the metro cities, and move more towards tier 2 and tier 3 cities. But India needs to do a lot. I think what we need to showcase is more about how ease of travel comes in. Because again, today, the young generation they want a lot of ease of travel. So the visas, the connectivity, the last mile connectivity, all of this needs to come in for the traveler to make it more authentic, to make it more seamless. Because India is a huge country and it's one of the largest. So people do have that sense of not belonging when they are visiting this country. And they also have a sense of getting lost. So the packages that need to come around by all my colleagues sitting here and the fraternity should be ones which are easy to read, easy to travel, so it doesn't get very complex for them. And of course, they're all digital nomads today. So they need to be given everything digitally, so they are not actually having to face anyone, but they need to enjoy with their own time, like just she said. They want their own time and their own experience to come in. Because today it's all about experiences.
It is indeed, and we so look forward to that. Sir, coming to you, in terms of the ease of travel processes that Ms. Jyoti Mayal also just highlighted, we speak of direct flights, we speak of easy visa processes, we speak of affordability. Any other initiatives that Egypt has done so far or is looking forward to execute to ease the friction of travelers within the country?
Actually, thank you very much for this question, and I was hoping that you would ask me something like that. In order to answer this question, I think I need to tell you how do we look at the Indian society, not the Indian tourists, because we don't like to look at Indian tourists as a product. When we are dealing with the Indian society, we look at you as a great civilization, as great as the Egyptian civilization. So what is important for us in Egypt is your dignity. So mentioning the word friction, I would highly disagree with that. What is important for us is your dignity, the indignity of the Indian people when they are coming to Egypt. Having said that, we have the whole ecosystem for ease of travel for Egypt, for Indian travelers. You can get visa upon arrival if you have the Schengen and American visas. You can get the visa from the embassy and our consulate right away in a very few days. You can get an e-visa. Right. So you can get a 5-year visa if you want, if you're a businessman. Regarding connectivity, it cannot be better. We have Egypt Air direct flights from Delhi and from Mumbai directly to Cairo. So the whole ecosystem is there. What we are trying to do the next few years and the next month and the next period is that we have a whole program, package program, for all the Indian people. So what I would urge you to do is come to visit Egypt, and not just visit Egypt, come live Egypt. I can assure you, I can promise you that you will be thrilled, you will be astonished how similar our two countries are. If you walk on the streets of Egypt, nobody will recognize that you're Indian or you're a foreigner. Probably the people will come up to you and speak to you in Arabic. So they will not recognize that you're a foreigner in the first place. Come to visit the Grand Egyptian Museum, which is the largest museum in the whole world. There is a lot of things that people can come to do when they come to Egypt. So the word friction, I highly disagree with.
Thank you so much for your insight, sir. Clearly very enlightening. And I look forward to visiting Egypt very, very soon and see what all it has to offer. Again, it's beyond pyramids, and there's so much to, with the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum again. There's a huge chunk of inbound tourism that the country has witnessed. We'll speak about that in a while. Coming to you, Ambassador Aliki, would love to know again, with terms of Greece, any initiatives that you have in mind in order to ease the travel process within the country for Indian travelers and for the rest of the world, because we're so excited to visit the country.
And I'm very excited because talking about getting to Greece more easily, in January we Indigo inaugurated a direct flight from Mumbai and Delhi to Athens and vice versa, which is an extremely big thing for us and our tourism, so that Indian travelers can go and fly directly to Greece. I think that what we're trying to do is digitalize everything. As Ms. Jyoti said earlier, you have to try and have a seamless procedure, so everything is easier and more attractive for younger people.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to mention something different, though, which is one of the preoccupations that younger people have also, which is sustainability in tourism. So one of the goals that we have, and I think that we share with Indian professionals on that sector in general, is to try to have sustainable tourism. It's very important to our future. It's very important to maintain the country and the beauty of the country, of both our countries. So that is also a goal that we have for the next few years in the sector of tourism.
Very well put, ma'am. In fact, sustainable tourism, as you just mentioned, it's something that I think travelers also look forward to and are very involved in personally. I've seen, the younger audiences or, travelers in the age group of 20s or 30s, they want to be responsible while traveling, right? Ambassador Mahishini, would you like to add to that? Have you seen that in Sri Lanka as well?
Yes, as I was mentioning even previously, I think sustainability and the consciousness and the being conscious that you're not harming the environment and that you're also, whatever you do directly benefits communities and families, I think is a big thing amongst especially the younger generation, which is a very positive aspect actually for tourism. And you were talking about ease of travel, so I just want to say that traveling to Sri Lanka is probably as easy as traveling to another state in India, because everything is digital. You don't need to visit an embassy to get a prior visa or anything like that. You just need to book your ticket.
Right.
And if you have a valid passport, you can travel. The ETA approval comes within minutes and visa is on arrival. So it's very easy. And where connectivity is concerned, we have 200 flights a week between different destinations in India and Colombo. And Indigo just started direct flights between Delhi and Colombo in March. We have Air India flying once a day between Delhi and Colombo, and we have Sri Lankan Airlines flying operating two flights between Delhi and Colombo every day.
Right.
So connectivity is easy as well as access where visa is concerned.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, ma'am. Ms. Mayal, any closing thoughts on what the new traveler is all about, according to you? The new Indian traveler, witnessing the cultures globally, and again, travelers coming to India. How can we decode the new traveler this year in 2026?
I would say all travelers globally. I mean, because they are the young generation. The old ones have traveled at all and they're still traveling and they continue to travel. But the young generation which is traveling, you call them, and I think very soon you'll be having Alpha and then you'll be having Beta generation too traveling a lot. They're all looking, of course, for sustainability, like I said, with inclusivity. Because that's another very important aspect that every young traveler is looking at, because they are more empathic towards people. And I think they are being brought up that way. Sustainability, not only as eco and not only as green environment, but also of building up communities, what the topic says. Because that's a very important aspect of tourism.
Right.
Because when you are traveling, you are building communities. And when you're giving locals a job, you are actually building them and making them much better. So I think that says for all countries. And a country like India, which has so many tribes, and we have tribal tourism, and we have community tourism, and we have immersive tourism. So I think India is a civilization by itself, which can actually make travel the best and most immersive and most experiences and most storytelling.
That's a wonderful closing thought, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you all to our esteemed panelists today. It's been an absolute honor. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We've had so much diversity today on this platform, and we are beyond ecstatic. Thank you so much.